Good morning, Creative Living Fellowship, and welcome to the pre-service meditation. So we're just going to relax and get into the space in the mode of meditation. So if you just want to close your eyes and just relax, just let go, be in a place of peace and harmony and love and joy. That is what God is, and that is what is at the center of each of us. And so we'll just relax into that space, that place where it's harmony, it's peace, it's warm sunshine on our cheek. It's a flower garden. It's just love, harmony, joy. And so we'll just relax into that place, into the silence, into the meditation, and just be present for the divine guidance that comes through us as God. And so as we come back to this place, into this space, into the room where you are, into the Zoom where we are, just slowly come back, become aware of the sounds maybe in the room, the presence of others in the room, the chair or whatever we're sitting on. Just become aware of what's surrounding us. And eventually we become aware of the Zoom room that we're in, if we're in the Zoom. And when you're ready, we just come out and open your eyes. Be ready to greet the day. And so service will start in a few minutes at 10 a.m. Thank you. Namaste.
Good morning, and welcome to the Creative Living Fellowship online Sunday service. Please join us in our opening song, Use Me.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. All that I'm saying is, command my hands. What must they do? Command my life. It's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. And God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I'm the Reverend Dr. Sherry F. McCreary. I'm the Senior Minister here at Creative Living Fellowship, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here and to tell you how happy we are that you joined us here for our online Sunday service this morning. We are an independent religious science church, and we welcome all paths that lead to truth. Our deepest intention here is to be a community of love, care, and connection that opens hearts, expands consciousness, and transforms lives. And we do that through the principles and practices of the science of mind. We have two practitioners who are holding high watch for us today. They are Rhonda Emmerich and Carrie Sherman. And what that means is that they're sitting in meditation and prayerful contemplation, just holding a space for the perfect unfolding of our time here today. So I thank Rhonda and Carrie for their service here today. I'd also like to thank Reverend Mary Jane Hyde, who brought us the beautiful pre-service meditation this morning. Thank you, Reverend Mary Jane. We really appreciate it. Of course, let me give a shout out to our Sunday service team. Let's take a breath together. And our Sunday service team, as usual, consists of our Sunday service director, Nicole Jordan, and the assistant director and Jill of all trades, Deborah Covington. She's also our operations manager. Serving as tech support today is practitioner Fran Peck. So we are well served here today. I really appreciate the service that they provide here every week, because we could not do this without them. Trust me, we could not do this without them. So thank you guys. I appreciate your service so very much. We have favorite friend Charles Holt here this week as our musical inspiration. So he'll be with us in just a little bit. Right now, Nicole's going to bring us the announcements. And following the announcements, there will be a brief gong wash. And after the gong wash, then practitioner Peter Waring will bring us the reading and our evocation. So make sure that you take the words of the reading into your hearts and into your minds and allow them to find a resting place there. Let's take a breath as we just now listen to Nicole bring us the announcements.
Good morning, Creative Living Fellowship. I love having a captive audience and Reverend Sherry telling you to listen to me. It's awesome. It's my pleasure to always be here with you on Sunday to bring you your announcements. So, meditation is a great mindfulness practice that helps us to be present in the now. Why not join us for midday meditation throughout the week to support your meditation practice? Midday meditation is at noon, Monday through Friday. We also have a 20-minute pre-service meditation on Sundays at 9:35 a.m. Join us for any of these meditations through our Facebook and YouTube live streams or on Zoom. Speaking of spiritual practices, join Reverend Jorge every Monday evening and dive deep into the heart of practicing science of mind principles. Say yes to this weekly invitation to apply Sunday messages and lessons to your day-to-day life. Using the practices of contemplation, prayer, and introspection, open up to see beyond your boundaries and self-interest, and then transform your consciousness. You can participate in Monday practice with Reverend Jorge through our Facebook and YouTube live streams at 6:30 p.m. Stay connected and supported with your CLF family and join Reverend Sherry every Tuesday as she hosts a Community Care Connection Zoom meeting at 6:30 p.m. This week, Reverend Sherry will be leading us in Life's Purpose Visioning. This is a powerful process that reveals more the more you do it. Visioning is a spiritual practice that aligns you to possibilities for your life. Join us this Tuesday and open up, surrender, and catch God's vision for your life. We look forward to seeing you then. The Ernest Holmes Book Study's last gathering for discussing Know Yourself, You Are More Than You Think is this coming Saturday, October 30th. Know Yourself is available in digital format from Science of Mind Archives for $8. Read the book and join facilitator Reverend Mary Jane Hyde on Saturdays for heartfelt discussion and connection. Mindfulness, the pathway to peace of mind with practitioner Peter Waring is next Sunday, October 31st at 11:45 a.m. This 90-minute workshop is designed for beginners, those who struggle with meditation, or those who are always looking to learn more. You will learn about the roommate in your head and how to gain control. We will cover some science and practice some exercises that you can use immediately. Becoming aware that you are aware is the first step in the process of change and peace of mind. Register today. Remember, you can use your smartphone to text to give and make your contributions to CLF. Simply text the amount you'd like to tithe to 602-610-1868. If it's your first time donating by text, you'll be sent a link to set up your account. And then after that, it's as easy as texting the amount you'd like to give to 602-610-1868. And speaking of tithing, we are a tithing church, and that means that we tithe off of your donations. We're looking for a nonprofit to send our fourth quarter tithes to. So if you have a nonprofit you would like to nominate, please use the link found in the comments to submit your recommendation. Our Sunday prayer room is available to you after service today. Get your after service prayer with a practitioner by heading on over to Zoom using the link provided in the comments. Prayer room participants are transferred into a breakout room for a private session with one of our licensed practitioners. There will be no fellowship today due to our special membership meeting today at 11:45 a.m. We are voting for new members for the Board of Trustees. So active members, it's very important for you to attend to cast your vote. And please, if you're in a shared household, you will need to log in separately to cast your individual votes. Also, make sure you log in with your first and last names so we can identify our active members. You can find the link for all of our activities and events on our website under events, under our Facebook events, or in your weekly newsletter. That's it for today's announcements. It is now time to move on to our gong wash, followed by a moment of silence.
Good morning. Today's reading is from Dr. Ernest Holmes from Ideas for Living. We should no longer feel that there is a God who seeks retribution, or that we would be consigned or condemned anyone to a state of perpetual unhappiness. While it is true that as man sows, so must he also reap, it is also true that when he stops sowing discord, he will begin to reap harmony. When he stops sowing hate, he will begin to reap love. And when he stops sowing fear, he will begin to reap faith. Jesus introduced the idea of a divine forgiveness based on his belief in a divine love, and told us that when we find one, we shall also discover the other. He never even intimated that anyone would be punished for his mistakes when he stopped making them, nor did he ever suggest that this world and the life we live here was the only place where we could stop making mistakes. Jesus viewed this life merely as an introduction to another one, a prelude to a larger life. We must realize then that divine love and divine forgiveness reach even beyond the grave, and there is no place where they will ever stop. We have all made some mistakes in this life, and we have all done so many things that we ought not to have done. Unless we can feel that love and forgiveness are eternal, we would store up such a sense of condemnation within ourselves that we could not come to the point where we could even forgive ourselves for our own mistakes. And if we could not forgive ourselves, we could always have an unconscious feeling that God or the divine giver does not forgive us. Jesus taught that God is all there is, whether it is here or the hereafter, that the divine giver is also the great forgiver, and that love will finally heal every wound somewhere, sometime, somehow, either here or hereafter. So let's take these words into prayerful contemplation. Divine love. Divine love is that energy, that force that animates my body and my mind. It is that force, that energy of my consciousness. Divine love is the creative force of not just this universe, but of our actions. Divine love is who we are. And I am grateful for that. And knowing this truth, that we are divine love in expression, that I speak my word of divine love for our community, for all of us that serve in this creative living fellowship, for Reverend Sherry and her message today, and for the team that puts this service together. And that divine love is in action in all of our words and of all of our doings. And I speak my word for our community and for our community beyond, for our country, for teachers of truth, that divine love and inspiration is expressed in all words, actions, and doings. I am so grateful for this blessing. I am grateful for the blessing of forgiveness, that as I make mistakes and recognize them, that I am forgiven. And I have this freedom within me to live a more gracious, more open, and more blessed and giving life. And I am able not only to forgive myself, but to forgive others. And I know this truth for each and every one of us. And I am so grateful that this truth is our truth. And it is who we are. And it is available always. For God is all there is. So thank you, God. Thank you for all. And so it is. Please join me in welcoming our musical inspiration for today, Charles Holt.
Good morning. I'm tired of the guilt that brings me pain. to let go of the shame, the past behind me. I see anew. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. I forgive me. I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. I forgive them. I forgive them. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. I forgive me. I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change.
Wow. Favorite friend, Charles Holt, thank you so, so very much. That's the message for today. That's the message for today. I'm ready for my change. I forgive me. I forgive them. Let's take a breath. Charles Holt will be back with us during the offering time, but I'm so glad that he brought us that song today. It's a beautiful song. I've heard him sing it before, and I especially requested that he sing it today. And he did. So thank you very much, favorite friend, Charles Holt. We're talking about forgiveness this month. We are moving on through this month with forgiveness. So many different issues, so many different facets of forgiveness, so many different things to consider when we're talking about forgiveness, when we're actually doing the forgiveness work. The theme for the month is the givingness in forgiveness. The givingness and forgiveness. And I always say the biggest givingness, the greatest givingness and forgiveness is the gift that we give ourselves when we are doing the forgiveness, because forgiveness is for us. The forgiveness is for the one doing the forgiving. And so oftentimes we get so caught up in thinking that we will withhold our forgiveness because we don't want to do something for somebody else, or we don't want to let them off the hook that easily, or we don't want to condone wrongful behavior. And none of that is the case. Forgiveness is for the person doing the forgiving. And that's the thing for us to keep in mind, that forgiveness is for our own freedom. It's for our own healing. It's for our own openness. It's for our own ability to really experience our oneness with the divine. Because once we forgive, once we release, once we let go, we create that open heart, that open space through which spirit works, through which God is able to just flow in and through and as each one of us. And it keeps us in that place of connection with God. And so forgiveness is one of the most important spiritual practices that we can engage in, because it keeps us open, it keeps us free, it keeps us in that place, as I said, of unity and oneness with God. And so that's what we've been talking about all month. And as you know, I've said before, this is my favorite favorite topic to talk about is forgiveness. I've been doing forgiveness work, forgiveness classes, forgiveness workshops for years, since 1998, I think, and all over the country. And I really, really love doing the work, love working with people individually, love working with classes, and love doing the work myself, because every time I do a class, I'm doing the work. And sometimes I'm surprised that I still have work to do. But you know what? As I always say, as long as we're in these bodies on this planet, there's more work to do, more work for us to do. And so today I'm talking about beyond the beyond, beyond the beyond. And you know, beyond is that place after a specified time or event. After a specified time or event is beyond. And so learning to move beyond unforgiveness is what I'm asking us to do. Learning to move beyond the past, learning to move beyond old hurts, learning to move beyond old resentments, learning to move beyond old past mistakes, learning to just move beyond anything that has held us back. Anything that has held us back, anything that has kept us stuck in any one place. We want to learn to move beyond that. And so we're continuing to move beyond when we're doing the forgiveness work. And forgiveness issues come up every day, every day, every day, in ways that we can't even imagine, little ways and big ways. We often think about forgiveness when it comes to big things, but you know, there are little things too that require us to be mindful, require us to be attentive, require us to be willing to just forgive on the spot, to let it go on the spot. And I was reminded of a friend who was in the grocery store a few weeks ago, and she was looking for one specific thing in the frozen foods aisle, frozen food section. And just as she got to the section, there was a customer ahead of her who cleaned out that whole section of what she was there to get, and put all those things in her basket. And my friend wasn't able to get any because that person took it all. Now, that may seem like a little thing, but that could have been a forgiveness issue. That could have morphed into something that angered her, something that made her resentful, something that triggered something within her, just made her hold some kind of grudge because this person took all of the items in that particular section of the freezer section. And so that, as I said, could be a forgiveness issue. It's like sitting out in a parking lot in a shopping center, waiting for a parking space, and as soon as the car backs out, somebody pulls in right ahead of you. I've had that happen before. And you know, that's a forgiveness issue. You have to take a deep breath and be mindful and be willing to move on. Be willing to move on, be willing to move beyond that, because we're always in the process of moving beyond, because if something is not happening in this moment, it happened in the past. I don't care if it was 5 minutes ago, that was the past. So if something happened 5 minutes ago that really ticked you off, that really pushed your button, that really upset you, that's something in the past. And so we have to be mindful so that we're always willing to move on. We're always willing to let that go. And when we get to the place where we can forgive on the spot, when we can let it go on the spot, where we can release it on the spot, then it doesn't have a chance to simmer. It doesn't have a chance to stew. It doesn't have a chance to build into a resentment or a grudge. It doesn't have a chance to gain any energy. It's just something that we can take a breath and let it go and forget about it and move on with our lives. Just like my friend in the grocery store, you know, once she wasn't able to get what she was standing there to get, she got something else. She got a substitute and moved on. And I trust that she's not holding on to that because it wasn't a big deal. But it could feel like something. Depends on all the other things that are going on with us. And so I'm inviting you to just be mindful, be aware that forgiveness issues come up all the time. And one thing that I want you to move beyond, there's several things I'm going to invite you to move beyond today. Moving beyond thinking that forgiveness issues have to make sense. They don't. Oftentimes, it doesn't make sense that we're holding something against somebody for a particular thing, or that somebody is holding something against us for a particular reason. Forgiveness issues don't have to make sense. So forgiveness does not require analysis on our parts. Oftentimes we will analyze, well, maybe they didn't really mean it. Well, maybe they were having a bad day. Well, maybe they were, maybe they didn't know that they did this, or maybe they didn't know that I would be upset, or whatever the case may be. All of those things may be true. But if you're holding something against that person, whether they meant it or not, whether they knew about it or not, the thing for you to do is to do the forgiveness. The thing for us to do is to do the forgiveness work. And so we don't have to analyze, and we don't have to say it doesn't make sense. It's just do it. Just do it. Because I always say you can't overdose on forgiveness. You cannot overdose on forgiveness. It will not hurt you. When in doubt, forgive. When in doubt, forgive. That's one of my mantras. When in doubt, forgive. If you're not sure whether somebody intended something or not, or whether they really meant to do something a particular way, or whether that's the best they could do, if you're doubting, forgive. You cannot overdose on forgiveness. Don't forget that. And so what I'm asking us to do is to move beyond all these preconceived notions we have about forgiveness and just surrender to forgiveness. I love what Charles is saying about surrendering. Just surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. And trust me, forgiveness will change your life. Forgiveness will change your life because it will free you up. And so just be in that place of readiness for the change. Be in that place of readiness to let go. Be in that place of readiness to open your heart. Be in that place of readiness to move forward in your life. And so as we as we are moving beyond where we are now, one of the things I'm inviting you to move beyond is the notion that it's too late. That it's too late to forgive. It's so much time has passed. The other person has moved on. Forgiveness is always possible. It doesn't matter whether the other person has moved on in death or moved on this plane. But let's say death, for instance. If someone has died, you can still forgive someone who died because it's you who's holding the grudge. It's you who's holding the resentment. They have moved on to another plane. And to the degree that we're holding, yes, forgiveness it goes from eternity to eternity. Just like the reading says, just like Ernest Holmes says, love goes from eternity to eternity. Forgiveness goes from eternity to eternity. So it doesn't matter whether we're on this side of the veil or on the other side of the veil. If you're holding something against somebody, if there's a resentment, if there's a grudge, if there's a hurt, if there's pain, if there's whatever it is that we are experiencing, let it go. Forgive that person. It doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter where they are. It matters where you are. It matters where you are in your willingness to surrender and to open your heart and to let go of whatever it is that you may be holding. So forgiveness is always possible. So move beyond the thinking that it's too late, or there are times when we think that because we've done some forgiveness work that we've done enough, and we look up and here it is again. So maybe it didn't take. So no, move beyond that thinking also. Forgiveness is like peeling an onion. And I've said that before. You peel the top skin off and it gets all smooth and you're going along about your life. And then all of a sudden that little piece at the top pops up and you pick at it. And then another whole layer comes off. Another whole layer comes off. And that's how forgiveness works. And then it's smooth and you're going on with your life. And then here's that little piece again, it's sticking up at the top. And then you peel it and then another whole layer comes off. And sometimes that's how we do the forgiveness work when we're dealing with one person or one issue that comes up that is very, very difficult for us. And the thing for us to do is to keep in mind that forgiveness is always possible. Forgiveness is always possible. And no matter how many times we forgive the same person, do it over and over and over again, as many times as is necessary for you to be free. Because so long as we are unforgiving, we are walking around with that other person controlling our lives, that other person controlling our hearts, that other person controlling our thoughts, that other person is living rent-free in our heads when we are walking around thinking about something that happened with another person. Another thing that keeping in mind also is when it comes to self-forgiveness is being able to forgive ourselves. Being able to forgive ourselves is so, so, so important. And I hear so many people say that if I could just forgive myself, I can forgive other people, but it's really, really hard for me to forgive myself. Well, you know, Ernest Holmes says that if there were no divine forgivingness, that we would not be able to transcend the mistakes that we have made. And I say that if there were no self-forgiveness, we would not be able to transcend the mistakes we have made either. Because if we can't forgive ourselves, we can't transcend those mistakes. We can't free ourselves. We can't release ourselves. We can't let ourselves off the hook when we can't forgive ourselves. And so the second thing I'm inviting you to go beyond is going beyond the thought that there is some act that is unforgivable. Nothing is unforgivable unless you make it so. Nothing is unforgivable unless you make it so. Nothing is unforgivable unless you make it so. Because forgiveness is always possible. Forgiveness is always possible. I don't care how horrendous it is that an act may be that someone else did. I don't care how horrendous it may be an act that you did, whatever that may be, how guilty you may feel about it, how regretful you may be about it, whatever. Nothing is unforgivable unless you make it so. So be willing to forgive yourself. Be willing to forgive yourself. Be willing to release yourself from your own judgment and your own resentment, and your own shame and your own guilt and your own regrets. Be willing to release yourself from all those things, because nothing is unforgivable unless you make it so. Now, that's not to say that forgiveness is easy, because it isn't. Sometimes it's easier than others. Some things are easier to forgive than others. Some acts are easier to let go than we let go of the feeling. It depends on the pain and the involved, the harm involved, and so many things are dependent on how readily we can let some things go. But the point is that we can let them go. We have to do the work over and over and over and over and over. And then over again. We have to really surrender to forgiveness. And surrendering to forgiveness doesn't always get us to forgiveness. It gets us to willingness. It gets us to willingness. When we surrender to forgiveness, we're saying, I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to let it go. I'm willing to walk this path of forgiveness. And that's all that's required. There was a time, many times, my mother would different things would come up, and my mom would say, when you're doing the best you can, that's all the Lord requires. And so when I was just thinking that when we get to willingness, that's all the Lord requires, because willingness opens our hearts. And when we have an open heart, God can work through our willingness. God can work with our willingness. But when we're not willing, that's resistance. I mean, that's the other side of willingness, is resistance. If we're not willing, we're resistant. And so being willing to forgive, when we are say, okay, I surrender to forgiveness. Now, that doesn't mean that you can maybe do it right then and let everything go right then and one fell swoop. It would be great if you can. That would be wonderful if you can. And if you can't, you still have surrendered to the possibility. You still have surrendered to the possibility and just opened your mind and opened your heart to the possibility of forgiveness. And that's where we want to get to. We want to get to the willingness to forgive. When we get to the willingness to forgive, then we can release the notion that anything is unforgivable, because it really isn't, because it's all up to each one of us. So let's take a breath together for a moment and just move into that place of knowing that in order to, a couple of thoughts are coming to mind all at the same time, so they're kind of canceling each other out. But what's coming through right now is that I'm thinking of a poem by Hafiz, the great Sufi master, Hafiz, The Cruel Knife. A young woman once said to Hafiz, once asked Hafiz, what is the sign of someone who knows God? And Hafiz looked at her, he paused for a while, he looked at her deep into her eyes, and then he replied, someone who knows God has dropped the knife, has dropped the cruel knife that they hold against themselves and, well, that's not what he said. They have dropped the cruel knife that they hold against their tender self and others. Someone who knows God has dropped the cruel knife they hold against their tender self and others. And so that's what I'm inviting you to do. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Your knife may be called judgment. Your knife may be called anger. Your knife may be called blame. Your knife may be called shame. Your knife may be called guilt. Your knife may be called regrets. Your knife may be called all kinds of things. But when we hold that cruel knife, we use it against our tender self, and we use it against others. And Hafiz is saying, one who knows God, drop that knife, drop that cruel knife that they hold against their tender self and others. And so that's what I'm inviting us to do today, is drop that knife. Drop that knife, let it go. Drop that knife. And you know what? Sometimes we'll drop the knife and pick it up again. And I'm suggesting we don't want to do that. We don't want to drop that knife and let your hands be free. Drop that knife and free your hands up. Drop that knife and free your heart up. Drop that knife and create that space through which spirit can work. Drop that knife and create that space through which love can flow. Drop that knife and create that space through which freedom comes. So we are free to live. We're free to be all that we were created to be. We're free to live in oneness with the divine. We are free to be that place and space of expression for God. We're free to be that individualized expressions of God that we are. And we are free to allow God to express to the fullest, because we don't have anything blocking, because we've dropped that knife and we don't pick it up again. And so I'm inviting you today to drop the knife. I'm inviting you today to let it go. I'm inviting you today to move beyond the knife. Once you drop it, move beyond it. Move beyond it. So we want to keep going beyond the beyond. Whatever limitations we have set up, whatever boundaries we have set, move beyond. Be willing to move beyond them, and forgiveness will take us beyond those. Forgiveness will take us beyond that. That's the givingness in forgiveness. This is something that we owe to ourselves. The change, if we're ready for our change, as Charles Holt was saying so beautifully in that music today, in that song today, if we're ready for our change, I forgive me. Let that be your mantra. I forgive me. I forgive me. I forgive me. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive them. And don't think that forgiveness has to be limited to people that we know, to our narrow circles of friends, of people that we know. We can turn on our TV any day and see things that we need to forgive somebody for, things that push our buttons, things that really anger us, things that really upset us, things that really appear to be unfair. There's always a forgiveness issue someplace, somewhere for us to practice forgiveness. And Michael Beckwith says, we should all highly evolved people race to see who can be the first to forgive. Highly evolved people race to see who can be the first to forgive. So we want to really be in that place of being the first to forgive. We aren't waiting for somebody else to forgive. And while this is on my mind, I just want to say to you that it isn't necessary for forgiveness for us to go to the other person and say, I forgive you. Because in doing that, that may create another forgiveness issue, because they may not be nearly as thrilled with you forgiving them as you think that they would be. They may not even know that you have a reason, or agree that you have a reason to forgive them. You can, that's a choice that you make, whether you want to go and talk to the other person, but it is not necessary in forgiveness. And sometimes, as I said, it may not be possible to do so because the other person may have passed on, or the other person you may not even see them again, or whatever the case may be. The important thing is to keep in mind that forgiveness is for you. And so when you are doing the forgiveness work, just do it, so that you can just move on. Just do it, and then do it again, so that you can continue to move on. And so I invite you today to really, really, really do this work. Free yourself up, forgive yourself, so that you can transcend your mistakes of the past. Start to do the work now. Start to let it go now. Start to move into the now, this now moment, with an open heart and an open mind, and a willingness to allow God to be God in your life, as your life, each and every moment of each and every day. to allow God to guide us and direct us. Ernest Holmes says that there's a divine intelligence there's an intelligence to which we may come for guidance, for direction, for inspiration. A power responding to us, a presence pressing against us, a spirit animating us, a light within us. And that intelligence is the eternal, the essence of God, the eternal presence, the Father within. Allow that divine intelligence. Allow yourself to come to, not go to, because that would be separate, come to within us. Allow ourselves to come to that divine intelligence for guidance, for direction. And know that that intelligence is also that power responding to us, that presence pressing against us, that spirit animating us, and that light within us. That is always there, it's always available, and we turn to it every time we open our hearts and open our minds. Let's take a breath. Let's take a breath. I feel like I could go on and on about forgiveness, and I'm not. I'm going to give you the opportunity to really consider it, to really surrender to it, to really show yourself that you're ready for that change in your life, that you are really ready to walk this path of forgiveness. The path of freedom is what it is. I invite you to do that right here and right now. So let's take a breath as we move into prayer now. Just moving into that place of knowing and sensing and feeling God's presence, knowing that God's presence is the only presence there is, the only life that is, the only mind that is, the only intelligence that is, the only activity that is God. This onlyness that is God is my life. It is my very life. It is that from which I can never be separate. It is that which is always right where I am. It is that presence from whose presence I can never depart. I can never, ever, ever be in any spot where God is not. Because God is my life. God is that with which I am one, knowing that I am made in the image and likeness and out of pure spirit itself. This is the truth that I know. And the same truth that I know for myself, I know for each one of us, that we are each made in the image and likeness and out of pure spirit itself. That we are each free to be free, that we are each free to be all that we were created to be, that we are each free to create that space through which God can operate as God, as each one of us. Because of our unity, our union with God, our oneness with God. And so just knowing this truth, I speak this word for each of us this day, just speaking a word for willingness, speaking a word of surrender, speaking a word for forgiveness. As we open our hearts, we open our minds, we release and let go of those things that we've been holding. We forgive ourselves for mistakes we have made and release and let go. We forgive ourselves and we forgive others. We let go of grudges, anger, shame, guilt, whatever it is we may be holding, anything that would block the free flow of spirit, we let it go. We let it go and we allow that free flow to take place within each of us. And as it happens, healing is happening in each heart, healing of the hurts, healing of the pain, healing of the fear, healing of the doubts, healing of all things that need to be healed. When we let go and allow the free flow of spirit, healing happens. And this is the word that I'm speaking for each of us this day. And so I know that as we move through this time, we do so with ease and with grace, that God goes before each of us, making straight our way. God guides us and directs us every step of the way. God shows up as whatever it is that we may need in any moment of any day. God shows up as the thing itself, whatever it is, whatever we call it. God shows up as that. As that, all needs met, all needs met, all needs met. And so we just stay in a place of openness. We stay in a place of trusting God more than we trust anything and anybody. We stay in a place of knowing that the presence of God is always right where we are. Knowing this truth. And this is a truth that sets us free. This is a truth that sets us free. This is a truth that heals us. I know that there's healing that's happening in the body temple, healing that's happening in our bodies of affairs, healing that's happening in all of our lives, healing that's happening in our hearts for the loss of loved ones, a loss of anything. Healing is happening everywhere because God is everywhere present. And so I pause momentarily so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer. You may speak their names silently or loud, and you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names are spoken here this day, I know that God is right where each one is, blessing and keeping them. That there's not a spot where God is not, that God is in the midst of every situation and circumstance. Every situation and circumstance, God is in the midst of. This prayer goes out to anyone on this planet needing a prayer this day, needing a word spoken this day, knowing that God is in the midst, everywhere present. God is in the midst, everywhere present. God is in the midst, everywhere present. I give great thanks for this word spoken here this day. I give great thanks for the perfect manifestation of this word this day. I give great thanks for the forgiveness that is happening everywhere, the freedom that we are experiencing in every aspect of our lives. I speak a special word of blessing for our government officials who I know that God is in the midst of decisions. God is in the midst of guiding and directing. God is in the midst of everything that's going on. And I know decisions are being made for the highest and the best, for all concerned, as we let go of divisions, as they let go of divisions, and see that oneness, that unity that is in back of all things. And so I simply say thank you, Father, Mother God, for the word spoken here this day and the perfect manifestation of this word. I say thank you, Father, Mother God, for everything, everything, everything. I simply allow it to be. And I know that all is well, for I know that all is God. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Sherry, for that very powerful talk on the power of forgiveness. This is the time we participate in the divine law of giving and receiving by giving of our tithes and offerings. CLF is a tithing church, and we invite you to join us in this sacred practice by tithing here at CLF. You can click on the donate link on our website or in the links in Zoom and on Facebook. You can also use your smartphone to text to give. However you choose to give, we deeply appreciate your continued support, financial support of CLF. Let us now repeat our offering blessing. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I circulate, all that I receive. And thank you, God. And so it is. And now let's welcome back Charles Holt for our offering song.
Good morning, beautiful friends. Here's your friendly announcer. I have serious news to pass on to everybody. What I'm about to say could mean the world's disaster, could change your joy and laughter to tears. and loves in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Hey, it's going round, breaking many hearts. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far. Hey, the force of evil plans to make you its possession, and it will if we let it destroy everybody. We all must take precautionary measures. If love and peace you treasure, then you'll hear me when I say, don't you know that love's in need of love today? Look around, you don't delay. Send yours in right away. Send yours in right away. Hey, 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 it's going around, breaking many hearts. Oh, stop it, please. You know it's gone too far. Hey, yeah, yeah, love, 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 love's in need of love today. Just take a look around you. Don't delay. Send yours in right away. Send it, send it, send it now, 'cause hey, it's going around breaking many hearts. Oh, 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 stop it, please. You know it's gone too far. Hey, hey, hello, be love. Sing yours in right away.
LOVE, love. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Charles Holt. We're so glad you were here with us today and for your beautiful, beautiful music today. Oh, let's take a breath together. I just have a couple of closing announcements. As you know, today is our membership meeting at 11:45. So I invite you all to join us for that. Active members, we certainly hope that you would be present for voting today. And those of our community, we trust that you will join us for this also at 11:45 today. There will be no fellowship with practitioner Jeannie Sovereigns today. She will be rejoining us next week. The Zoom prayer room will be open immediately after service today. So you can still get a prayer with the practitioner in a breakout room, private prayer, if you'd like. If you don't want to come to the Zoom prayer room, you can send a written prayer request to practitioners via email at prayer@creativelivingfellowship.com. Or you can call a practitioner 24/7. Our on-call practitioner list is in the comments section or on our website. Don't walk around with a heavy heart, and particularly when you're doing forgiveness work. That's the time to really, you may really want to check in with the practitioner to hold you in prayer and to walk with you through this walk of forgiveness. So practitioners are available for that. The Monday evening practice with Reverend Jorge happens on Monday evenings. from 6:30 to 7 o'clock. It's wonderful, wonderful spiritual practice time. I invite you to make that a part of your regular spiritual practice. Drop in and check Reverend Jorge out on Facebook or YouTube on Monday evenings. And of course, our Tuesday evening connection meeting still happens every Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 7:45. I love meeting and connecting with you on Tuesday evenings. This week, we are doing Life's Purpose Visioning. And I invite you to come out and join us from 6:30 to 7:45. The Ernest Holmes book study is ending. This particular book, Know Yourself, ends this Saturday. You can still drop in if you'd like from 10 to 12 with Reverend Mary Jane Hyde. And then on Sunday morning after service, practitioner Peter Waring will be bringing us a mindfulness workshop after service. And we are really excited about that because we're going to be having more after service workshops. And Peter is bringing us one next Sunday from immediately after service. You'll hear more about the time and all that. I won't try to tell you that, but make sure you check that out along with the other activities that we have here. Don't forget to use the treatment for supply. It works. It works. It works. That is our community prayer. Whatever it is that you connect, make sure you connect with each other. Just to say, I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you. I see that my internet connection is unstable. I hope I didn't freeze. But at any rate, connect with each other. And I'm saying to you, I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you. And it will be soon. So take good care. Meanwhile, I'll see you as we do these Zoom things. And I'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us. And most importantly, I'll see you at the membership meeting today. Thank you very much. I love you all. Here's our closing song I release.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God.